I want to show you just some of the basic editing features of DaVinci Resolve. This is not going to be a tutorial on how to do each of these things, but just an idea of the sort of things that are quite easily possible. Let's start with a piece of a clip of video which I'd already loaded in. And one of the first things that probably most people want to do is to look at the length of it, decide they want to shorten it. They may want to chop something off the beginning, and by simply grabbing little handles here I can shorten it and so on. But it's not permanent, it's reversible, so at any stage if I want to readjust this to a different point I can. So taking the front and back end off a bit of video is fairly straightforward. Over on the right hand side here in the edit window, you'll notice I have a thing open here called the inspector, and this gives me a whole range of functions for cropping, and you can see various things that are possible here. One of the things I often start with, particularly if I've handheld the video, is to stabilize the video. If we look at this piece of video, and I'll look at it full screen so you can see it, you'll notice that the world is moving around a little bit, and that's because I took this with a fairly telephoto lens handheld. So what I'd like to do is stabilize this, and here I'm going to lock the camera as if it is on a tripod, say that I want to stabilize it. And now if I play this in the full window, you'll notice now that the whole thing is stabilized. Having stabilized it, it has in fact trimmed it down a little bit. Let me just turn the stabilization off. That's because it's moving around, it doesn't want to show any black edges. But if I want to choose to zoom even more, I've got the facility here to zoom or to position the clip within the frame. So I've got this sort of transformation ability to crop it and move it around a little bit. I can position it, I can zoom it, I can even rotate it a little bit. I can also crop it if I wish to, so if for some reason I wanted a bit of video which was perhaps only like that, I can do, or I can crop the top and so on. We've looked at stabilization, and the last one I'll look at it briefly is the speed. You probably won't want to change this. This is running at 30 frames per second as per the timeline, and if I just run this, and in fact if I zoom in a bit on part of this so you can see the water a little bit better, then you can see the water is running at normal speed. If I, for instance, halve this speed, or more than halve this speed, you can see it is slowing down, but it is very jerky, and that's because it is only showing it at 13 frames per second. I can change the direction of the water, or I can create a freeze frame of that by setting that. We'll have it going forward and we'll have it going at normal speed. So those are the sort of things that you can do in the edit window using the ability to crop and trim and the ability to do various transformations. The other thing you might want to try is to look at the colour or the brightness and so on of this. So in the same way as you might want to adjust the black levels and white levels in a still image, you might want to do the same here. This scope over here is essentially a little bit of histogram. This represents the left hand side of the picture, this represents the right hand side of the picture. The bottom line is black, the top line is white. and you can see at the moment that in fact we haven't got any complete blacks in here, and nor have we got any complete whites. So I may well want to take the black, make the darkest part of this a little bit blacker, and I can do that by using this lift wheel, and this wheel you just slide along and it changes the black. So you can see that's changing the blacks. I'm going to take them so they're not nearly black, and the gain control adjusts the whites, so I'm going to bring the whites up, and you can see that I've now got a much better mix of black and whites. The other thing I can do here is to change the colour, and I'm going to add a little node here. These are rather like layers in Photoshop, but I'm going to do the colour adjustment on this, and maybe it's too warm, so I'm going to adjust this down to a bluer colour. So various things. I might decide that I want to vignette this. So I want the ability to mask certain areas, and I'm going to just add a new node so that I make the adjustment on a new node. Let's think about perhaps, as I say, vignetting this. So the area at the moment which is highlighted as the centre area, I want the reverse of that. So I'm now highlighting the outside area, and if I adjust the darkness of the outside area, I've now got a vignette on this, and we can see the effect of it with and without the vignette. So if I go back and look at this now, full frame, and play it, you may sort of say, really don't like that, but it may match the colours better. Last thing which you may well want to have a go at is simply adjusting the sharpness a little bit. So let me take this up to I can actually set this to a specific size, so let me set it to 100%, give us an idea. And the sharpness is controlled, and I'm going to do it again on a new layer. These incidentally can be just shuffled around on this new layer, and this is going to be my sharpening layer, and you can see here that if I adjust it that way it goes blurred, if I adjust it that way it goes massively sharp, but if I just add a little bit of sharpness to this, something like that. Okay, so we've gone from something which is a little bit underexposed, a little bit lacking contrast, and we've got something which I've changed the colour, I've changed the colour brightness, and I've given it a bit of a vignette. Those are some of the sort of simple things that you can do. There are many other features that you can do, but those I think are the sort of the basic things that you may well want to do with a little clip of video. So let's just have a look at that full screen.